It's going to be a full house here on Kings of Cricket. Joining me in the studio is former India cricketer Murli Karthik. I've got Venkatesh Prasad, former English cricketer Graham Swan with us also, and Ayaz Memon. We're also waiting for Mohinder Amarnath to be joining us in just a bit. But before we go to our guests, let's set up this clash for you.
It's time for the India vs New Zealand game, a match which the men in blue might be eagerly waiting for to take their ultimate revenge. Team India has some bitter memories with the Black Caps. During the 2019 World Cup, a billion dreams were shattered by the Kiwis. India were table toppers in the group stage and were favourites to win the prestigious trophy. Kane Williamson and company managed to kick the men in blue out of the World Cup despite just scoring 239 runs. Not only this, they hosted T20I World Cup in 2016. Even in that edition of the marquee tournament, India were bowled out for just 79 runs and had to accept a humiliating defeat. Then in 2021, India again met New Zealand in the final of the ICC World Test Championship, and even this time, the Black Caps managed to crush India and win the tournament. In a major setback before the match versus New Zealand, India has lost its star all-rounder Hardik Pandya, and suspense looms large over who could replace him. New Zealand certainly holds an edge over India in the World Cups. India has just won 3 out of the 9 matches in the ODI World Cups and failed to register a victory against Kiwis out of 3 T20I World Cup matches. But in this edition of the marquee tournament, India and New Zealand are the only teams who haven't lost a single match yet. But the teams are running high on confidence, and India is showing no signs of weakness.
Very little to choose between these two sides, but for that record, that ominous record that the Kiwis hold against India. Let me remind our viewers of that. Just talking about the ODI World Cups, 9 matches played, India have won just 3. New Zealand have won 5. There was one which had a no result. But this is a situation where India has not won a single match, even in the ODI World Cup against the Kiwis, since the 2003 edition. So what is the kind of psychological impact does a record like this have? Quite like the one we've discussed, for example, that India has against Pakistan. Let's go across to our guests also. Swani, I'm coming to you first up. What do you make of this run that the Kiwis have had? Does that matter at all today?
Quite honestly, no, it doesn't. The team who played in 2003, that's over 20 years ago, let's face it. And no matter what happened then, that does not affect today. What happens today is all about form in this tournament. And these are the 2 form teams. India have been sensational so far. Beating teams, not just beating teams, but doing it in quick fashion and in dominant fashion. So India, I think, have been the best team in the tournament so far. New Zealand have been sensational as well. They haven't lost, they haven't looked like losing. They crushed England. Well, everyone's crushing England at the minute, but they particularly crushed England. And, you know, going into this game, this is the mouth-watering match of the tournament so far. That record, honestly, in World Cups, it's great for us to talk about. It's brilliant for the media. But in the dressing room, it really doesn't matter because, you know, barely any of these players have been around long enough to play in too many World Cups. The one game that will really sit in their mind is that one in Manchester in the last
but there's
edition
another
that
way.
India should have won.
There's another way to look at it.
That will loom large in a few of their players.
Sorry, there's another way to look at it. You've had the Indian team that between 2007 and 2013 won 3 ICC titles under Mahendra Singh Dhoni. But even that team was not able to beat the Kiwis in World Cups, whether the T20s or the ODIs.
Well, they're a bogey team, maybe. So, you know, New Zealand like to think of themselves as everyone's second favourite team. And they always say that, even in commentary, I've heard that people say, oh, we're everyone's second favourite team. When you play New Zealand, you can't think of them like that. You can't go easy on them. They are an international standard, very good side. And their best player at the minute, even if he is South African, but England, we still load of South African players anyway, so we don't mind that. You know, if you don't get wickets early on, they're exceptionally strong in the batting. Conway is a man in form and looking brilliant. So, if we want to look at it like that, saying that they've always had the rub over us and they always beat us, that's a bad way to start the game if you're India. They should be going in full of confidence, saying, look, everyone who's come up against this Indian team in this World Cup, we've steamrolled, and that's what we're going to do today.
Absolutely. Karthik, if there's any Indian team that should possibly reverse that trend, it is this Indian team, isn't it? And the form that they're in.
Yeah, 100%, because the way we've all been talking about it, and just from the start of the World Cup or even before it, we've been mentioning how strong this squad of 15 is. Yes, there is the cloud over Hardik Pandya. He's not available for the game. But irrespective of that, people coming into the side, whatever squad they pick or whatever 11 they put out on the park, they're strong enough. And Swani is absolutely right. It is there. And I suppose with all the hoopla around this match, when you talk about this record, I think players get reminded. When you ask Rohit Sharma, maybe he might not have known about but the thing is, when you get to a press conference, whoever it may be, whether it's a Rahul Dravid or a batting coach, you're reminded, you're asked, because that is the next best thing. Both teams are doing well. What can you talk about? The next best thing is, oh, sorry, you might have beaten Pakistan 8-0 or you have that record against Pakistan 8-0, but sorry, New Zealand has always beaten you.
But what is it about a Kiwi side?
Look,
that's, the second most favorite team for anybody in the world.
For me, it's the first. Actually, I am an Indian, but maybe in my previous birth, I might have been a Kiwi, because the whole of New Zealand, I just love New Zealand. There's something about that country. I just leave a part of me every time I go there. People are the most friendliest. In a country which has got so much flora and fauna, there's not one predator, not one snake, not one mosquito. Nothing can bite you. Even
unlike Australia.
Yeah, exactly. With their neighbors are so everything can kill you, sort of a thing. So there is something about the way they have played. They're very tight knit as a unit, and something about World Cup. I don't know what it is. You possibly have to go there. There's something about the World Cups where they really punch. They really keep punching. When you talk about bilaterals in India have a good record.
Yes.
But when it comes to somehow these ICC events, it's just like Pakistan. Pakistan have a good record against India in bilaterals.
Yes.
But suddenly ICC events, I don't know what happens. But you're absolutely right. This team, current team, definitely capable of reversing that trend.